Hi students. Today in this video we continue with the chapter 9. And in our previous video we had seen how Akbar, Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar, at the age of 13, how did he come to power with the help of Bayram Khan, and then his conquest, his administration, provincial, central, revenue administration, army administration, all these we discussed in our previous video. Today we are going to study the religious policy of Akbar and his cultural contributions. So let us begin with religious policy. When we talk about Akbar's religious policy, we have to keep in mind that though he was a Muslim, he followed a policy of tolerance and mutual coexistence. Tolerance towards others, that he accepted other religion and he allowed others to follow whatever religions they want to follow. He never imposed any particular religion on them. And he understood to establish a vast empire, he need to get the support of the majority. Okay, Hindus were majority at that time, and he knew that definitely he needs the support of the majority sections of the society. So he always supported Hindus and their religion. Akbar gave equal treatment to all his subjects. That is the most important thing. Akbar gave equal treatment to all his subjects. He never favored anyone or he never treated anyone with a ill mind. Religion was treated as an individual's private affair. People had the freedom to worship as they liked. Akbar adopted numerous measures to show his secular spirit. So he was secular in spirit. He allowed all his people to follow their own religion. Whatever they want to follow, they can follow their religion. That was his attitude. So he treated religion as an individual's private affair. Any individual who wants to follow any religion, it was allowed. He abolished the pilgrim tax in 1562 and jizya, a tax that was imposed on Hindus, and the Hindus opposed it, and he abolished this tax in 1564. That is very important. He abolished the practice of forcibly converting prisoners of war to Islam. See, before Akbar, all the Muslim rulers, what did they do? They practiced the converting of prisoners into Islam. Okay, but he abolished that practice. Not only that, he allowed and sometimes even encouraged the Hindus to build temples. He also gave grants to many temples. So the following points shows how secular, how tolerant Akbar was. So when he could easily impose Islam on others, he did not do that. Instead of that, he allowed and even encouraged the Hindus to build temples in his kingdom. He even gave grants to construct temples. Akbar practiced in Hindu festivals such as Holi, Diwali and Raksha Bandhan. He also got the holy books of the Hindus translated into Persian. So he popularized Hindu holy books, and also he participated in many of the festivals of Hindus like Holi, Diwali and Raksha Bandhan. Akbar's most important contribution in the field of religion is that he constructed a hall known as Ibadat Khana at Fatehpur Sikri. Ibadat Khana means hall of worship. Here he held debates and discussions with the religious teachers of all religions. He called the members of all religions in that Ibadat Khana, and they held very healthy discussions on religions. So it created a mutual respect and also a love towards the other religion. Akbar believed that all religions preach the message of love, respect, and peace. Akbar believed that all religions preach the message of love, respect, and peace. He felt that if the common ideals of all religions could be combined to form a new creed, the people of his empire would benefit greatly from it. Therefore, he suggested a religious path called Din Ilahi, or divine monotheism, the religion of one God. He also declared himself as the spiritual guide of his subjects. So that was the religion established by Akbar. What was the religion established by Akbar? That is called Din Ilahi, or divine monotheism, the religion of one God. Okay? Din Ilahi was a very simple path. It encouraged belief in one God. The practice of worshipping the sun, fire, and other sources of light was an important feature of this path. Akbar also discouraged the killing of animals and the custom of sati. Sulay-Khul, universal peace or peace with all, was another important principle followed by Akbar. Akbar's Din Ilahi was aimed at achieving peace, tolerance, and unity in a country of diverse religions. Some historians say that Din Ilahi was very similar to Ashoka's policy of Dharma. Din Ilahi was not a new religion as such. It did not have any rituals, sacred books, place of worship, or priests. It was only a code of moral conduct. Very few people accepted it. Raja Birbal was one of the few who did. Others, such as Raja Mansingh, openly disapproved of it. Akbar never forced anyone to follow the new religious path. Din Ilahi faded out after Akbar. Akbar's secular ideas were followed by his son Jahangir. Next, we go to the cultural contributions by Akbar. Akbar's reign saw a fusion of Persian, Central Asian, and regional styles of architecture. This gave birth to a new style. This style is best visible in the structures at Fatehpur Sikri, the new capital that Akbar built near Agra. The new buildings here are in red sandstone. The tomb of Sheikh Salim Christi, however, is in the white marble. In the above picture, can you guess which one is Sheikh Salim Christi's tomb? The architectural style prevalent in Rajasthan and Gujarat is evident in the different structures at Fatehpur Sikri. Akbar built many other monuments. The Agra fort is an impressive structure. Within it is the beautiful Jahangiri Mahal. The tomb of Humayun in Delhi is built on a raised platform and placed in the center of a garden. It is built largely of red sandstone and has a double dome of white marble. The tomb has both Indian and Persian architectural features. So those who have gone to Agra and Delhi might have visited all these places. So these are of wonderful architectural work during the time of Akbar. Then when we go to painting, Akbar patronized painters and calligraphers. He established many royal karkhanas or workshops. These were workshops in which many painters worked. According to a contemporary source, Akbar employed over 100 painters. The paintings had varied themes. A majority of them depicted scenes from the life of Akbar, that of the royal court, and of hunting. Some paintings were based on Indian and Persian stories and legends. Painters also decorated books with beautiful miniature paintings. Jaswant and Daswan were the famous painters of this period. Remember, so these are the two important painters of Akbar's period. They were Jaswant and Daswan were the famous painters. In 1567, Akbar ordered the preparation of a lavishly illustrated manuscript for the Persian translation of Hamsannama. It had over 1,000 pages, all beautifully illustrated. The Babarnama, Akbarnama, and Tutinama were also illustrated. When we come to the field of literature, Akbar encouraged Persian literature. He had the Ramayana and Mahabharata translated into Persian. Books in Arabic and Turkish were also translated into Persian. Many original works were composed in Persian. Abdul Fasal wrote a biography of Akbar called Akbarnama. Very important. Abdul Fasal wrote a biography of Akbar called Akbarnama. A part of it is called Aini Akbari. Akbar also patronized Hindi poets. His reign saw a tremendous growth in Hindi literature. Vallabhacharya, Keshwadasa, Tulasidas, Surdas were some famous Hindi poets of this time. Tulasidas wrote the Ramacharitamanas. Surdas wrote the Sursagar. Premvadiga of Raskan and Satsai of Bihari were some popular works composed in Hindi. Music flourished under Emperor Akbar. Abdul Fasal names 36 musicians, some of whom were women who played music in the court of Akbar. The most famous among them was Mian Tansen. He composed many new ragas, the most popular among them being Raga Darbari and Raga Deepak. It is said that every evening, Mian Tansen sat in his seat in the middle of Anup Talao in Fatehpur Sikri and sang his ragas. Akbar died in 1605. He was an empire builder, a good administrator, and a kind ruler.